Welcome to Gemini season, guys. We are going to take a peek at your love life, see how your partner's feeling about you, any important actions you need to take for the month, and overall, I'm just going to cover a couple things as far as major major things going on in astrological, aspects. If you've got some big projects going on, especially if you're seeing this towards the end of anytime in May, before you get to the beginning of June, make sure if you've got some big projects that you're really working on, get things kind of in order and organized. They don't have to be perfect, but there is kind of a wrapping up energy happening that first week in June. So I would recommend, if you have any last minute things that you need to do, just to kind of work on that so that you can be in the best position for that, because apparently whatever it is you're working on has definitely been very important to you and has a pretty big reward for you. So I would definitely check those details. Speaking of checking details, towards the middle of the month, we've got some new things happening. So, I wouldn't make yourself super busy at that particular point where you're just kind of overwhelmed. I would just kind of make sure you're double checking those details and don't overdo it. Okay, you don't want to overdo yourself during that time. Make sure if you need some grounding, you're doing that. And then we've got some nostalgic stuff kind of happening. Deeper rooted conversations taking place around the 18th of the month. But those are times when I would recommend to stay very mature and realistic with those conversations. I wouldn't exaggerate. I wouldn't, sell yourself up in any kind of a way. I would just stay really practical and realistic in that. And then towards the end of the month, we've got a really good opportunity to just kind of take the lead on certain aspects that you've been, these bigger pieces that you've been working towards, bigger goals, things that you've been really trying to get going. There is going to be kind of an oomph in that direction with a major transit, basically. So when we have those major transits, we've got new opportunities coming. So keep that in mind. The major transit is Mars enters Aries. So that does make sense, just because Aries has a lot to do with those things that you've been pondering on and thinking about, putting all that energy into manifesting, and now we've kind of got some of those answers coming too by the end of the month. So if you've been waiting for some bigger answers, I would say some of them should be coming in by the end of the month. If you want to look at your personal situation, please do so. Remember, this is a general reading, guys, so take with this and leave the rest. All right, let's get into it. All right, Libras, let's take a look at question number 1, which is reviewing the relationship currently and what position it's in, or just a major message that would be beneficial for you to hear. This is for June 2021 for love. All right. For my Libras, relationship currently. The fiery climax approaches. So relationships look to be going in a very good direction at the moment here. Hello, come to me. And a win-win outcome is in forecast. Well, I can't really beat that, Libra. No matter where you go, what you do, or how you look at it, it's going to be a good scenario for you. So it looks like you've got good things happening in all kinds of relationships right now. Maybe that's work and love, or family and love, or work and family, or whatever. You've got more than one area that is thriving in the relationship department. So that is very exciting to hear. And I'm glad to hear that for you guys. Especially being, the zodiac of balance, that does, I would imagine, bring a sense of healing and clarity and just kind of motivation for, what the future holds with those relationships. And so how are they feeling about you? What are they expecting here? So they're expecting clarity to come from you finding like a logical or loving approach to dealing with conflict. And so maybe that's something that you've already been doing, and they've been noticing that, that has made a big difference. And maybe the way you've been a little bit more diplomatic, or you have more tact with the situation, or maybe just overall you're desiring just to have satisfaction overall for everybody. And they're really seeing that, and it's creating a very very healthy and very happy type of an environment for you both. And I think they kind of expect that to continue. So if you've set precedent in some way, in whatever way that might be for you, just know that your partner is definitely looking at that to be a norm for you. So that could be a whole different scenario depending on, your personal situation. Okay. Now, where are things headed at the moment? So we've got transformation. Using the power of love to move through illusions and shift into awareness. So for some of you, this could mean like there's a new type of perspective that this person that you're interested in sees, and maybe it is outside the norm for you. Maybe it is outside of your comfort zone, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. And for others of you who might have put on a persona that could be a little bit more high energy or high maintenance, then you might want to just kind of nip that in the bud now before it becomes an expectation down the line, which there shouldn't be anyway, but you know what I'm trying to get. Like it's some kind of an understanding that maybe you do that said whatever it is more often than you really do, or or whatever. For whoever that resonates with, that will make sense. And the end of a tough cycle approaches. And so for those of you, I feel like there's some of you who have like this pressure on you, like you are expected to be a certain way, and when that kind of shifts into reality, then you really get a deep, fresh breath of air, to where the pressure is just not so, so weighing on you. Again, that balance is really where you guys, land when it comes to just general situations. You need things to be straightforward, and make sense. And so that's really what kind of action would need to take place in order for that to transform into a good awareness, a good perspective, something that is truthful. And, I certainly wouldn't let, it's at the bottom of the deck, I wouldn't let pride get in your way, okay, in whatever way. So right, wrong, or otherwise, you got to think about the future and how that's going to affect the future, not how someone's emotions are going to be affected. We got to take emotion out of it and just think a little bit logically sometimes. Now, how to communicate in this situation. Yeah, cause and effect. So you realize that this is the foundation of something great, right? You want this relationship to move forward, but you don't want it to be built on a foundation that is false, or that has pieces of it that aren't 100%, or maybe there's just, like I said, there's perceptions that aren't quite right. And so now definitely is the time to communicate, because you probably know more than anybody, just that the reactions that can come from that might not necessarily be conducive to, your health or to your desires or whatever. Sometimes we can put on an impression, but we don't want it to be necessarily like 100% all the time, which sometimes we feel pressure to kind of give that appearance because we want the person to continue to be interested. But and then again, at the end of the day, if they're not interested because of just that, then it really wasn't a good connection anyway. And sometimes we need to prove that to ourselves, so there's more there going on than we realize, and that we can be true to ourselves and still get, the bigger picture of what we were ultimately wanting. And that commitment is there regardless of, the illusion that you thought that they were wanting to see all the time. And so I see a very good transformation and evolution, if you will, of this relationship, but it is based on the honesty that's presented with regards to whatever was going on, or whatnot. And then one more card for that. Conclusions are within reach. So I can see that there's been a lot of kind of weight maybe about this, and you've been wanting to talk about it for some time. And maybe that's where that conflicting, the conflict coming out. Maybe they're really wanting you to, deal with the situation, just come out with it and be forward with it and be blunt and just let it all out so that things can move forward and be resolved, as opposed to them seeing you in a confliction, but they can't quite tell, they can't quite read you. Maybe you're a little bit off, but you don't even know you're being that way. And just, you'll find a sense of strength and renewal if you will allow yourself to deal with this the way that you really need to, and not letting fear drive the boat here. And then you will also gain a sense of resilience. The relationship, will also gain a sense of resilience, because this is transforming into a new sense of trust, a new sense of understanding with one another, a new sense of awareness. So I think this is all going in a really great direction. I think there's just a couple pieces that you needed to be reminded of, and I hope that definitely helps this month. Let me know if you want to look at your personal situation. All the information on how to book a reading is down below. There is a special going on, so keep an eye out for that. Info down below as well. And otherwise, have a great month. Much love, guys.